Good morning, everyone. Uh, I'm happy to have you participate in the Superfund Research Center Envisioning Workshop on Data Sharing and Interoperability. This program was put together by my colleague, Ted Smith, along with our partners from Microsoft, Trupin Modi and Paul Slater. And we really thank them for putting it together. The goal of today's workshop is to have a better understanding of how we can process, integrate, and share data coming from various sources. Back in the day, we used to work with single proteins, and it was a whole lot easier to manage the data. And then with the advances in technology, especially in mass spectrometry and so forth, we started to generate a lot of more data. And then things move with the deep sequencing, environmental monitoring, and so forth. So now we have data coming from various sources, and it's a challenge really to put everything together to make sense out of data. So there are different challenges in the field, and that's what we are going to go through throughout the day. We will also see how artificial intelligence could be used in some aspects of the studies to facilitate the data processing and sharing. The Superfund program started this data sharing exercise some time back and really put a lot of emphasis on that starting last year. And it is a big part of the Superfund portfolio now. So I would like to introduce now Dr. Bill Sook, who is the director of the Superfund Research Program at NIEHS, to make his opening remark about the meeting. Dr. Sook?
I think this is a great activity. I want to be able to say how important the whole issue of how to be able to ensure interoperability of these different systems are, okay? Because the whole point, based upon the previous presenter's presentation, as well as Michelle's, and that is the whole idea here is to be able to answer hard questions that cannot be answered with 1, 2, or 3 databases alone. We need to be able to come up with ways to answer questions that could not be answered before. That's the intent here. Okay, with that, I want to thank you, Sanjay, for putting this together, and your colleagues at Microsoft. And I'm looking forward to the rest of the afternoon, and I'll be around.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sook. We can move on, and we can have Paul go through the logistics of the meeting throughout the day and make his opening comments before we jump into the scientific program. Paul?
All right. Thank you very much, Sanjay. I appreciate it. I'd like to give you a more formal welcome now from Microsoft, and thank everybody for attending today and what we think will be a very instructive workshop, hopefully for yourselves, and then also for us as a technology partner to the University of Louisville. So today, I just thought I'd give you some idea as to kind of what to expect through the course of the day. These timings are approximate, but we're going to try and stick to the timings as best we can in the interest of this being a highly virtual workshop. But you can see that we're going to be spending some time really during the morning session for those of you on the East Coast to get an overall understanding and lay of the land, if you like. And then in the afternoon, we'll have a couple of presentations that Microsoft will deliver. One, looking at how large technology company approaches research from a couple of different angles, actually, in terms of the technology that is used, how it is used internally to drive research forward, and then how we work with larger organizations and smaller organizations alike in driving their research agendas. And then a second session really focusing in on the data sharing and data interoperability components. And then after a presentation on artificial intelligence and big data, we'll be hosting a roundtable discussion to look into these data sharing, data interoperability tools, processes, and challenges, etc. Now, this meeting is conducted on something called Teams Live, which is a little different to Microsoft Teams if you're familiar with that. It's a broadcast mechanism. So those of you that are attending don't need to worry about mute or not mute or anything along those lines, which hopefully should allow things to go more smoothly. But there are ways of interacting with the speakers. The way of interacting with the speaker is through a Q&A function that you will see on your screen. So I noticed a couple of people already have said good morning to that screen. This is the best way to communicate with us, communicate with the speakers, etc., for any questions that you have or are looking to raise during the course of the day. So feel free to make active use of that Q&A capability throughout the course of the day. We're hoping that today will be both interesting and entertaining. So from there, that'll be it for me. You'll see me pop back during the course of the day. I'll be leading that session on how Microsoft does research. And I'll be moderating this roundtable panel discussion as we get into the afternoon as well. Okay, so with that, I guess back to you, Sanjay.